All right, so welcome back. So I was gonna do discussion of my paintings this week, but apparently I can't find them today because in the process of having essentially move every frickin' month for a couple of days, I stowed them away somewhere and I can't figure out where I stowed them. So I don't know. It's I don't know. So what I got here instead is the graph paper journal that I used for making the pixel art. So I've got the pixel art in here, and the premise of where I was going with some of that stuff and where I'm going to go from here. And excuse me, goodness gracious, I am tired. So I'll do pixel art today, then probably do some discussion of the channel songs and audio stuff today. No, not today. Tomorrow. And then audio game, and then paintings, and then maybe the homage video that I want to do. Today I'll also discuss so pixel art and the zero camera video kind of explanation or demonstration that I was going to work on. And then tomorrow I think I'll probably do the cheap camera video options discussion. And so that's just making it a little bit easier for today. Tomorrow, like I did not get enough sleep last night. I am pretty tired. So the zero camera video option, that was one of those things that I was brainstorming before VidCon, that I was fairly excited about the possibility of kind of giving ideas for people who maybe want to produce video content but do not have a camera necessarily. And there are a variety of ways you can pursue that. There's the not quite stop motion animation, but the frame to frame images that you can use a simple figure with screen cap or other still images that you can basically overall there's the simple premise of making essentially a slideshow. If you can make a slideshow, you can make a video. Now, you know, there's the standard slideshow that you see as an office presentation or a simple, you know, these are the slides of my trip to Europe kind of thing. And those are boring. But there are ways to do them that are engaging, and it's story structure, overarching story idea. So like you can do a 5-act slideshow. The story of stage plays are often done as a 5-act play. You have your rising action and your falling action at the other end of the spectrum. So you have this sort of, you know, start in the mundane world, have this happen, go here, set back, climax of the story, return to the common world. And so you can use that story structure with still images to illustrate the story you're doing, and use a narrative voice to make them interesting videos. Now, there are different ways you can do a different type of video. You could do like a movie review with still images that you snag from online of scenes from the movie with a voiceover about your thoughts on them. There's also very simple video formats where, like, list type articles where, like, who are the top highest paid actors in Hollywood today? All you need is a still image of each of the actors, the ability to put lower thirds, and I mean, you could do it in Windows Movie Maker and have the images slide onto the screen, some borders around them, twist out, and a new one slide in. Like, you could do it that simply. Literally one of the easiest things you could do. And then you could even do tutorials. If you could use like some of the free drawing software out there and draw up essentially blueprints and orthogonal drawing diagrams of the project that you're working on. So say you're doing like a woodworking project of making a chair. You can literally do a blueprint of each of the pieces and then assembly directions. It's at that point it's very much like doing a assembly instructions for Lego in still images. So you could do that for any number of interesting project ideas. It's not the ideal format because you don't have a means of showing off the work that you're doing and the finished project, but it's something you could do without a camera. And so that was sort of the idea behind doing that series of videos, was just like different ways you can make a video without a camera that would allow you to update and post videos to YouTube. And so that was like specifically going for what's the minimum you need to make a YouTube video. And quite frankly, you can do it with the equivalent of MS Paints. And I'm trying to think, like, I don't know what the specifics of, like, could you get away with recording your audio from your computer or laptop? Possibly. Most laptops now have a camera in them anyway, but I think what I need to do is see if I can track down a cheap pair of headphones with the built-in mic in them and use the mic to detail like the narrative, and then do maybe pixel art or something like that as just a basic project. And so that was really where I wanted to try to experiment with that and show that, like, you don't need a camera, you don't need an expensive piece of equipment to do a video using essentially free stuff. As long as you've got a computer. I'm not even sure if you could do it on your phone. You might be able to. I'd be curious to see if I could figure that one out. I don't use my phone enough to be well versed in how I could probably pull that off, but I could probably pull it off. So yeah, that was the hope there. The idea that, like, a lot of people out there think they have to have certain pieces of equipment in order to produce a video. And it's like, you can make a video. It may not be as eye-catching or impressive to the viewers out there as something with set design and 3-point lighting and detailed audio equipment and all of that stuff. It's a lot simpler than that, but you could still produce something right now. And so that was the goal with that one. I have the ideas of several videos in that one as a series. And then the subsequent follow-up, which I'll discuss tomorrow, was with a camera like the one in my 7-year-old cheap little LG phone. I think it's probably a 2 megapixel at best. I have some even older cameras that I could probably use to try to get even older, lower grade images. Actually, I think I could probably use my laptop camera as a standard def camera. That might be an option. And then let's move on over to the pixel art. So what I was doing with this was I started up doing a few test pieces, like the letter spread there with the symbol spread in the middle, to demonstrate the ability to write out individual letters as if they were pixels, so that I could make an image out of the pixels. But the pixels are also a letter that tell a story, or a series of letters that tell a story. But I also was working on some test rounds of, I think you can kind of see right, it's gonna freak out. Here, where I was doing the make a smaller grid within each, to demonstrate that I could form the letters for the logo out of the symbols for each of the categories of content that I do. This is ultimately the design that I want to go for the central part of my banner. So I want my banner to actually demonstrate, and each of these letters being constructed out of the symbols that I use for my channel, and then figure out how I'm going to do this is the hard part. The inspired content logo, or the lettering around the two different circles. But I then proceeded to build the individual logos for each of my categories. So books, movies. Come on, work with me here. The one I actually thought turned out the most, the one that impressed me the most, was one I thought would be super hard to do, and it turned out really well. It's the heart. You can see the pulse. And I just thought it would be so difficult to make it look right. And it communicates it so well. It's not a lot of squares to do that. But given the distance and the right spacing of it, it really conveys the message really well. The plate, fork, and knife, the pawn for gaming. And so I got... I did the one that actually turned out to be hardest to do was get the gaming control to fit right. I tried several different ways to do that. And then the shopping cart and art and music, or art and audio is what we'll call it now. And that was a fun exercise in conveying the different categories I have here, and realizing them in a format that I can make each of those symbols in a certain sized grid that I can then convert into individual pixels to make the letters for the IC for the inspired content logo. So I'm able to spell out the logo using the individual symbols, which I did. You can see it on my banner up front. And then I have the individual logos blown up a little bit larger and set up as sort of like stones along my banner. And so they're done as pixel art right now, partly because I just really like how well that turned out. And I want to be able to use those pixel art logos for each of the category contents in thumbnails for the videos that I do. And that was really part of the experiment for me, was to see if I could work on the banner, the channel logo, the thumbnail images for my channel. And pixel art is one of those things that, like, you can make it small and it's still discernible. So I don't have to make it like it's a third of my video. Like the thumbnail to my video, I don't need to have a big circle with a symbol in the middle of it that takes up a third of the video image to communicate what category of content we're dealing with that week on inspired content. It's a simple enough structure that if you give it the space it needs, it can be really small and still tell you what you're looking at. And I think one of the additional things that I was probably, like, I was working on something similar for the Roving Jack channel, where I would do, different materials or different skill sets as logos. And I eventually wanted to do a sort of like a joke card deck where you would have, instead of having 1 through king in 4 suits, every card would be a jack. But each jack could have a different logo for the trade that they do. So it would be a deck of jack of all trades. And sort of having them, I don't know if I necessarily would maybe make a game where you could play with them, but I mean, it'd be nice if you could play games with the cards, but being able to have like a jack of recycling and a jack of sewing, a jack of gardening, a jack of blacksmithing, a jack of masonry, then that kind of thing. And so having them, I think I'd have to figure out additional features for the cards. It's like, what would be the suits? Because at that point, you're sort of exchanging the numbers for the suits. Like you're gonna have, you're gonna have 13, 14 green jacks, and have a different ranking for each one, so that you have like 1 through 14. Maybe not even do ranking, honestly. Have them all be equal to one another, but have a means by which certain cards can beat other cards. I'll have to think about that. But having the ability to make simple, visible logos that are clear and understood based off of simple structures. Because that's the thing about the logo art I did in the pixel art style, was they're so simple. They're 2 colors, black and white, so that they can be done like a silhouette and still be clear what's being silhouetted. A shopping cart, a heart with a heartbeat on it, a book, a reel of film. That's the least necessarily knowable unless you're just familiar with that look. The video game controller, Like all of those are things that can be done in simple black and white, communicate what they are in a format that's completely understandable, even when they're only, I think it's like 6 to 12 pixels across. So they could fit easily in, like, you can look on the side of the channel here where you have like the images for the play button, the fast forward button, the stop button on video streams like this, and the pause button, I mean, and they're all symbols that are very simple, easy to see in different colors. Reskin them in different colors essentially to communicate the concept that you're working with. So all of them are super minimalistic, I guess would be the term for it. So you have these minimalist forms that can be done in multiple colors to communicate different things at different times. And doing simple structures like those for logos, you learn how to do it in pixels, and you can do it on pixels on a screen in a way that you can do super small and they still come out clear. So I may be expanding some of my other images for like the Roving Jack channel and stuff like that. And eventually what I'd like to do is include them in my cooking video series that I want to do eventually in an interesting way. I can't really say more than that right now because I haven't really worked it all out yet, but the possibilities of using pixel art to forward what I was working on are something I want to look forward to in the future. And it can help all of my types of content. So yeah, that was pixel art this week. The pixel art week that I did. That was I still want to sort of maybe improve the banner art I have for this channel and try to incorporate some of it a little bit more into my thumbnails for my videos. So pixel art, and then the other thing I did this week was the other week that I'm doing today, recapping today, is the no camera video. And so like I do think, I feel like I'm sort of backtracking again and saying like I'll post those up in the new year as we get into it. I feel like I'm postponing it, putting it off. But I feel like I kind of have to. My life has gotten to a point where there's too much going on for me to reasonably finish it off and achieve it by the end of the year. But I mean, I have the demonstrated portion of some of the pixel art on my channel now. I don't think I did anything for the zero camera video styles yet. And I think part of it is I'm just anxious about posting something like that because I don't want it to look, I don't want it to be on my channel and reflect poorly on me because it's lame and pathetic. But I mean, it's a series of videos made without any camera. It's gonna seem kind of cheesy to some people, but I think it's an opportunity for some people who maybe don't know that they have that opportunity. That's really what I was going for, to see if I can encourage other people who think maybe they don't have that chance to be able to take that chance and get started on something. Alrighty, so that's really most of what I've got to say today. Yeah, I gotta do a little hunting for my paintings, but I think tomorrow we're gonna cover sound effects more than anything else. So I gotta spend some time tomorrow hunting through some of my stuff, pulling it all out, just so I can tuck it away again by next weekend. Because again, I've got to disappear for 3 to 4 days. But in the meantime, I've got some other content to create, and I'm trying to get back into the rhythm of doing this. It's hard when you've been disrupted for over a month to get back in the swing of things. It feels like getting started from scratch again, and I'm not sure I'm up for it, but I'm trying my best because I know I'm happiest when I'm creating. So that's what I'm trying to do. I almost just jumped out of here without giving a goodbye for the night. So take care. Thanks for joining me. So take care of yourself and have a good night. I know I seem to be abruptly ending tonight, but that's sort of where I am. I will be back tomorrow with a little bit more. I'm going to probably hop right over quickly and do live reacts to some more. Well, I did the candy cane thing earlier tonight, and for whatever reason, it blocked it over into private, and I had to reopen it as public. I don't think I uploaded it as private, but maybe I did. So I'm not going to say that I'm going to do a public video soon in the next few minutes here for live reacting to Black Mirror again, because for whatever reason it changes the setting on me, so I'm trying to figure that out. But that's where I'm headed next, so take care. Alrighty.